Joining us today on 1045theteam.com is Aaron Vargas, broadcaster for the AA Montgomery Biscuits, the AA affiliate in the Southern League of the Tampa Bay Rays. We're talking about Maple Hill graduate Jaime Schultz, who's had a great start to his early season. He's been dominating early on. Aaron, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. How about you?
Doing very well as well. Jaime Schultz, as I said, he's been dominating so far this season. Not so much the case last night. He takes the loss, gives up in 3 1/3 innings, gives up 6 earned runs, but just the second time in 10 starts this year that he's allowed more than 3 runs. He's really had a great year so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really has, and he got off to a really, really good start. And a guy that's really fun to watch. I mean, he's strike out a lot of guys. He's been a little bit inefficient at times, and the walks are going to pile up on him too. But you're not going to see many other pitchers in the league that are going to get more swings and misses than Schultz has. I mean, he's got really, really good stuff. You talk to scouts, they'll tell you that he's got major league stuff. So there's definitely a lot of potential there with Schultz.
He's got 62 strikeouts in 48 innings, and this is something we've seen from him throughout his entire minor league career, and people here locally in the Capital Region remember it from his time at Maple Hill as well. He's a fun guy to watch with a lot of velocity. Where's he sitting right now velo-wise?
Usually he'll be anywhere from 93 to 95, and then on good days he'll run it up there as high as 97. And it's not one of those things where he'll be 94, 95 in the first inning, then slow down, when he comes out later in the game. He sits there the entire time, and that's been the impressive part to me, is that he'll be, 92, 93 in the first couple of innings, and then when he works his way into the 5th, 6th, or 7th inning, then he's pumping it up there at 94, 95. So it's a lot of velocity to have to deal with, especially when he's got other good stuff, too.
I spoke to him right before he got to spring training with the Rays this season, and he said one of the things he wanted to work on was continue to develop his secondary stuff and not just be a guy who only has a fastball. How's the development of his breaking ball and changeup been?
Well, the curveball looks really good. I mean, he's got guys, when you have to worry about, a 94, 95 mile an hour fastball, and then you spin in that curveball that he has, that's where he gets a lot of the swings and misses. I mean, he's got guys chasing balls that are bouncing a foot in front of the plate. And then once he has guys thinking about the curveball, then it's pretty much impossible for them to catch up to 94, 95, especially if he elevates it. So the fastball and curveball, scouts tell you those are 2+ pitches. And the changeup has looked pretty good. I mean, against left-handed hitters, obviously he's not using the curveball as much. Wants to use the change a little bit more. And that's been something that I've been impressed with. I think it's still a work in progress. He's still trying to develop that. And then he throws in a little cutter every now and then, too. So the first two guys, the fastball and the curveball, are really good pitches. And then the cutter and the changeup are developing, and they're still pretty good as well.
As a guy with high velocity, a high strikeout rate, but also a relatively high walk rate, I asked Jaime Schultz earlier this year if he thought maybe there was a chance of him being used as a reliever to kind of fast track him up through the Rays system, but they seem kind of dead set on him as a starter. Do you think that's a good move for him?
Yeah, I think so. I think one thing with the Rays is they're one of the most patient and methodical organizations when it comes to developing young pitching. So they're going to take their time with them. And I think at the low end, the possibilities for Schultz is probably being a reliever in the big leagues. At the high end, I mean, you may see a 2-3 starter. So time will tell, and we'll see where he ends up. I was talking to a scout earlier in the season who said that just purely based on stuff, that Schultz reminded him of Craig Kimbrell. So if that's what he ends up being, a guy who gets 30 saves a year in the big leagues, then I think the Rays will be okay with that. But I think he still can be a starter. The efficiency is going to have to improve a little bit. Like you said, with all those walks, he's going to have to throw a few more strikes. But either way, whether he's in the big leagues as a starter or a reliever, I've got to think he's going to be there at some point.
Do you have any idea as to what that timetable is? And you said the Rays are very patient, very methodical. Do you think he'll be at AA all the way throughout this season, to be in AAA next year? Or do you think maybe he'll split a little time this year between AA and AAA and kind of help him get on that track?
There's a chance he could go up to AAA a little bit later this year. I would probably envision him being here in AA all year, and then in AAA next year with the chance of being a late season call up. It just, again, it kind of depends on where his command is, because if he turns it on again and he starts throwing like he did right at the beginning of the season, where he's just walking a couple of guys and striking out 7, 8, 9 a game and only giving up a few hits, then he may just force the Rays' hand. And then on top of that, with all the injuries that the Rays have had this year, you never really know what's going to happen in the system. They may call some guys up from AAA that opens up a spot, and that gives a chance for Schultz to go up to Durham. So you never know. I think the way I see it happening is probably Schultz going to AAA next year, and then with a chance to knock on the door of the big leagues late in the season in 2016.
Aaron, yesterday I was on the phone with Marshall Kellner, the broadcaster for the Dunedin Blue Jays, the high A affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays. I asked him this question about Jeff Hoffman, who's another local guy, throwing for Dunedin, 98, 99 miles an hour, first-round draft pick last year. I want to ask you the same thing. Does Jaime Schultz have some of the best stuff in the entire league that you've seen, the Southern League in which the Biscuits play?
No, there's no question. I mean, it's hands down. I don't know if there's anybody. I think Blake Snell, who's actually going to throw, or who's in the rotation right after Schultz, those two guys have some of the best stuff in the league, and all you have to do is just watch hitters. Hitters will tell you what kind of stuff a pitcher has, and when hitters are swinging at balls that bounce a foot in front of the plate and are way late in a fastball up in the zone and continue to swing and miss, that's all that you need to know, that Schultz has great stuff. The stuff is not going to be the issue with him at all. It's going to be all about commanding his stuff, whether he can throw it all for strikes, whether he can get ahead. Because with that kind of stuff, with some of the best stuff in the league, if it's 0-2 or 1-2, it's game over. You're just not gonna hit Schultz when he's ahead of you.
Aaron Vargas, broadcaster for the Montgomery Biscuits. We appreciate the time here today at 1045theteam.com, breaking down Jaime Schultz and his prospects in AA and beyond. The Maple Hill graduate having a great season so far. Aaron, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, no problem, Brady. Have a good one.